There are some things that we should not be able to do because they are simply too dangerous. Some actions can have fatal consequences, even if it sounds like a great idea at first. This is why urban legends were created in the first place, to warn people about what could happen when they make certain mistakes. But how many of us actually pay attention to them? How many of us refuse to listen to these tales simply because we don't believe them? Today, let's look at an urban legend that has been going around for years. A story that warns those who hear it to never try something like this at home. So do you think you're brave enough to take this challenge, or will you regret it later? Let's find out. I bet you must have heard of the 72-hour rule before, right? That one where if you get caught in the rain for 72 hours, then you'll come down with a fever. It's an old wives' tale, though, because there's no scientific basis for this claim. You could get soaked in a downpour for 72 hours straight, and you still wouldn't automatically get a fever unless you already had one. But this legend takes that idea and turns it into something much more sinister. So let me explain. It starts off pretty similarly. If you're stuck in the rain for 72 hours, then whatever you do, don't go inside. That's because once you do, you'll bring bad luck with you. Sounds ridiculous, but the more details that are added to the story, the darker it becomes. Some versions say that the rain will wash away your good fortune for the next year, while others say that you'll be cursed with bad luck. Still, most people would probably just laugh at this and continue doing what they're doing, right? But the legend doesn't end there. This is where things start to get serious. The urban legend says that if you do decide to head back inside after being caught in the rain for 72 hours, then anyone you meet will die within 3 days. Not only that, but the bad luck won't stop with that person. Instead, the curse will move from person to person until it finds someone else to latch onto. And that's why it's important to stay outside. It is almost like an extension of the 72-hour rule, where if you break the original rule by going inside, then you set the curse into motion. To avoid this happening, you should always stay outdoors for at least 3 days whenever there's a storm brewing. After all, it's better to risk getting sick than having other people die, right? And that is precisely what happened to a man named James, who decided not to listen to this urban legend. He was on a camping trip with his friends when the weather took a turn for the worse. They tried to rush back to the car, but the rain was so heavy that they couldn't see the road anymore. So they made the best of the situation by setting up camp and hoping that the weather would clear up in the morning. But they were wrong. The rain didn't stop. It continued to pour throughout the night and into the next day. By the time James and his friends had set up camp, they had already been stuck there for more than 24 hours. But they didn't have any choice. They couldn't leave because the roads were impassable. So they did the only thing they could do, waited it out. But by the time the third day rolled around, if you're running low on supplies, and unfortunately, it was also when the weather took another turn. The rain grew heavier and the winds picked up speed, which meant that they had to move their camp to higher ground. But just as they finished moving, the skies opened up again and the water started pouring down on them. It was at that moment that James remembered the urban legend about the 72-hour rule. He told the others about it, but they just laughed at him. According to them, there was no way that this story could be true. So they packed up their things and headed back to the car. On the way, they saw a couple walking towards them. "Good luck," said the woman. James froze in his tracks. He wanted to warn the couple, but he didn't know how. So he just stood there awkwardly while they passed by. Within 2 days, news broke out about a hit-and-run accident that killed a young couple. It wasn't until the police released the description of the victims that James realized what had happened. The couple was the same couple he had seen on the road. What shocked him even more was that there was a witness to the accident, a man who had also been stuck in the rain for 72 hours. He went to the authorities, but unfortunately, they didn't believe him either. In fact, They arrested him for the hit-and-run accident because he was the only person there who had been in the rain for 72 hours. That's how James became the unluckiest camper in history. Now, you might be thinking that this is just a made-up story, but there are actually quite a few similar accounts online. People who have been caught in the rain for 72 hours have reported seeing cars pass by, only to hear about their accidents later on. Is it a coincidence, or is there something more at play here? If you think about it, it makes sense that this urban legend exists. We often associate rain with cleansing and renewal. Rain washes away dirt and grime, making everything fresh and clean. It also helps plants grow and flourish, helping them survive. But, of course, this can be taken too far. There are plenty of places where it rains so much that people drown, crops wither away, and entire cities get destroyed. Maybe that's why this urban legend says that if you break the 72-hour rule, then you'll bring bad luck to others. After all, rain can be both a blessing and a curse. So, what do you think? Does this sound like something you'd believe? Let me know in the comments below. And while you're there, make sure to like and subscribe for more awesome urban legends. Speaking of which, here's another urban legend that you may want to watch. Next, the Hook Man. Hitchhiker or Hook Man is a legendary phantom driver who appears as a hitchhiker needing a ride. Legend says he has a hook for a hand, hence his name. He typically appears at night and asks to be driven to a nearby town or city. At some point during the journey, the passenger will realize that the Hookman is covered in blood. He'll then reveal his identity as a serial killer, kidnapper, or cannibal, and proceed to attack the driver, sometimes even killing him and taking him to his gruesome destination. Most stories end with the Hookman slashing the driver's throat or stabbing him multiple times. But this isn't the only version. Some people say that the Hookman kills the driver, but then continues driving under his own power. Others say he does horrible things to the driver's body after killing him. One version even claims that the Hookman is a ghost who feeds on the souls of those he comes across. In all versions, though, the Hookman is incredibly creepy and should definitely be avoided at all costs. But is that really possible? What if you actually encountered him while hitchhiking? What would you do? Tell me in the comments below. In this case, a man named John was hitchhiking home one night when he came across an old pickup truck. He signaled for the car to stop, and as soon as it did, he hopped inside. The driver was silent for a while, but eventually he spoke up and asked John where he was headed. John replied that he was headed home, and the driver said that he was going in the opposite direction. "Hey, why don't you drive me to my destination, and I'll pay you back by dropping you off at the nearest gas station," John suggested. The driver agreed, and they switched directions. A few minutes later, John noticed that the driver was covered in blood. But before he could react, the driver turned around and revealed his bloodied meat cleaver. "Get ready to die," he snarled at John. In a panic, John jumped out of the car and ran as fast as he could. The driver gave chase, but John was too quick for him. He disappeared into the darkness, never to be seen again. The police never found his body, leading everyone to believe that the Hookman had claimed another victim. Would you believe this story? If you were in this situation, would you be able to escape? Let me know in the comments below. Either way, now you know the terrifying story of the Hookman. Make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss an awesome video. With that said, do you believe in urban legends? Are they just superstitious nonsense? Or are they real-life folklore that we should all be aware of? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I've been your host. Until next time, stay safe out there.